This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA, fight.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show Network, with your hosts, Jake Merrifield, Bill Shirley, Jamaal Artis, and Mike Regalado, bringing you anything and everything UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello, and welcome to What's Bruin Symposium. This is part 2. Part 1 was our discussion about the Washington State win, Mike's thoughts on that, and some Pac-12 talk with Jamaal. And now you're joining us for our game that will be regarding the Beavers.
Nice Beaver.
And the Bruins up at Corvallis, which I'll be going to this Saturday. More on that in a minute in the game that will be. Thank you very much for listening to the What's Bruin Symposium, a conversation over drinks. It's the What's Bruin Symposium on the What's Bruin Show Network. Of course, you can subscribe at patreon.com/whatsbruinshow or just whatsbruinshow.com for just $2 a month. You can also subscribe at whatsbruin.substack.com. We appreciate your support there. Get access to the Slack channel and also get access to special bonus shows that you can't get on the normal feed. You can also subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe and like and all that good stuff. You can also call the What's Bruin hotline, 805-399-4WBS, Sacramento, Troy. A lot of calls here at the end of this show, and you can be part of the fun. You can also get WBS merch at mylocker.net site. Look in the show notes for that site, and we appreciate your support there as well. On Twitter or X, we're at What's Bruin Show. And also you can email us, whatsbruinshow@gmail.com. So with no further ado, you already listened to our thoughts on the game that was regarding Washington State. Now let's get to the game that will be. The Bruins and Chip Kelly embark on what is, once again, the most important game of their season and the most important game of Chip Kelly's career, right? I don't know, maybe not. But it certainly is a big opportunity. So let's talk about it.
It's the game that will be. It's the game that will be, yo. It's the game that will be.
All right, Mikey, UCLA in the game that will be is about to go up to Corvallis. Maybe for the last time in a long time. Bruins are number 18 in the country. They are taking on number 15 in the country, the Oregon State Beavers.
Nice Beaver.
And guess what, Mike? They are a 4-point underdog.
Which, since this game is at Corvallis, it's kind of a pick 'em.
It kind of gets to be like by that point spread, right? You give them, you give the Corvallis at least a 3.5 point favorite, pop for being up there at home.
Yeah.
You're right. It is kind of like a little bit of a pick 'em, and some of the numbers kind of suggest that. This is going to be at 5 p.m. on Fox. Hopefully, we can all watch it live, although I am supposed to be at a birthday party on Saturday night, and the birthday party is for someone who is a Trojan fan, and this game is going to be running up against USC Notre Dame.
Which that game starts a half an hour before UCLA or Oregon State.
My prospects of watching the Bruins, hopefully, beating the Beavs.
Nice Beaver.
So even if you did have a football game to watch, it's not going to be UCLA.
It's going to be going to be tough. It's going to be a negotiation. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, it's going to be 5 p.m. on Fox, actually on TV this week, unlike the untelevised game on the Pac-12 network last week.
Yeah.
ESPN Win Predictor has this as the Bruins as a 30.2% underdog in this game, meaning that their predictions say that the Beavs will win this 70% of the time. The over-under is 54.5. That is an implied score of a Bruin loss of roughly 25-19, somewhere in that range. Bill Connolly is a little more optimistic. Let's go, Bill. He says that the Bruins, kind of like what the point spread kind of implies, taking out the home field advantage, but he has the Bruins as a 47% win probability, which is much more like a coin flip.
Yeah.
Right? And his final score is OSU. He has him as OSU as a 1.5 point favorite, and the final score being OSU winning 28-27. So,
wow.
Connolly and ESPN both predict Bruin loss, but Connolly has a little closer.
Yeah.
So, we'll get into our thoughts on the game, but first, like I said, for the last time, in regards to the old Beavs, it's time for some trivia.
Now it's time for Jake's Trivia, brought to you by Jake, bringing you all the coolest trivia of UCLA football's opponent for this coming week. And now, Jake.
Mike, I'm going to give you the trivia,
Okay.
and you're going to get some feedback. And basically, if you get it right, you're going to get a nice beaver.
Nice beaver.
But if you get it wrong, it's going to be this.
And if the Beavers are a little sloppy,
Yeah,
If it's going to be a nice beaver or a sloppy beaver. Okay, so first question, Mike. What is the name of the Oregon State Beavers mascot? It's a beaver running around out there.
I should know this. I do know this.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
It starts. It's alliterative. Oh, not Bucky. That's the awesome truck stop in Texas, Mike. I knew you were a Texan at heart, but sorry, Mike.
Yeah,
if
me.
the Beavers are a little sloppy,
It's none other than Benny Beaver.
Yes, that's right.
But
Yes.
good job starting with a B at least, right?
Benny and the Beast. Sorry.
I like that. I'd listen to that song. Mike, the Beavs have one, just like the Bruins, have one Heisman Trophy winner.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me? You don't even have to tell me the year. Just tell me who is the Beavers' lone Heisman Trophy winner.
God,
I'll tell you the year, actually. 1962, he won it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Who is it?
and if the Beavers are a little sloppy,
It's none other than Terry Baker, 1962.
Yeah.
He's the first Heisman winner west of Texas, if you can believe it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
That's trivia, yeah.
Yeah. So there's been four, the 60s, by the way, and Godfather, if I get this wrong, please correct me. But four Heisman Trophy winners in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You had 1962, good old Terry Baker. You had 1965, good old Mike Garrett, former USC AD. That thankfully Garrett, great job running them.
Four
into the
Heisman
ground.
winners in the 60s from the West?
From the west of Texas, yeah.
West- okay,
from,
gotcha,
from the
gotcha.
West Coast, really.
Yeah.
West Coast.
Okay.
1967, Mike. Who's that?
OJ? I don't know.
It's me slapping Mike. Gary Beeman, our Heisman Trophy winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why
And
is
then 68 was OJ.
I was thinking 54.
So
Why was I thinking 54?
It was a great
I don't know.
guess. That's the national title team.
Yeah.
But it's a great guess because Beeman and OJ, they play each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, so 62 is Baker, 65 is Garrett, 67 is Beeman, 68 is OJ.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Four West Coast winners in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only decade with that many West Coast Heisman winners.
Damn.
Yeah. If you go to the 70s, you had Plunkett and Charlie White.
Stanford and...
You go to the 80s,
Sure.
yeah,
Mhm.
Stanford and USC.
Yeah.
The 80s, you go Marcus Allen,
Mm-hmm.
the only Trojan I'll ever like. You go to the 90s, Ty Detmer and Rashawn Salam.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the 2000s, stupid Carson Palmer, stupid cheating Reggie Bush, and stupid overrated Matt Leinart. Only three in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 10s, you had Marcus Mariota.
Have you guys ever seen a flock of ducks flying in perfect formation?
He had him in a perfect formation.
Uh-huh.
And then in the 2000s, you got stupid Caleb Williams. Those are your Heismans on the West Coast. So the 60s were like the like the banner decade for West Coast
football,
Heismans.
yeah.
Okay. UCLA leads this series, Mike, against against the Beavs,
Nice beaver.
42-17-4.
Yep.
So for most of the history, Beavs versus Bruins,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little sloppy for the Beavers.
and if the Beavers are a little sloppy,
Uh-huh.
But in the last 8, they've been very good Beavers.
Nice beaver.
4-4 in the last 8.
Uh-huh.
However, what about the last 2 at Corvallis, Mike? Has that been good news or bad news for the Bruins?
They've won both of them, haven't they?
They have. They
Yeah.
have. In fact, I was at one of those games. 2011. Good old Dickie Brio. Dickie took it to the Beavers.
and if the Beavers are a little sloppy,
Led the Bruins to a 27-19 win over the winless Beavers. I was there in attendance with good old Colby. We were having drinks with an associate UCLA AD that will remain nameless, but was very curious about Colby and his gambling inclinations. But that's okay. It's a great trip. It was a wonderful trip up to Corvallis. And then in 2015, freshman Josh Rosen, Chosen Rosen, some might call him,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
He led the Bruins to a 41-0 blowout over a 2-7 Beaver team. So yes, the Bruins are 2 for 2 in the last 2 trips to Corvallis that have spanned, over 10 years. That's how little we've played the freaking Beavers. Too much Ducks, not enough Beaver.
Yeah. Well,
But-
COVID helped screw that up because
Yeah,
they rearranged
stupid.
the
Well, and
last
the Pac-12
3
helps
years.
you. Screw the Pac-12.
Yeah.
It's this guy's fault.
Kalashnikov.
Everything's your fault.
And the guy before him.
And Larry Scott. Yeah, you're right, Mike. He's terrible. He's terrible too. But the Bruins have beat the Beavs in the last 2 games up to Corvallis, but those are 2 terrible Beav teams.
Yeah.
These were not the much improved Johnson Smith-led Beaver teams.
No.
So I don't think we should expect to have such an easy time of it up there.
No.
Yeah, and most teams don't. And they have one of the, just like Utah, they have one of the fiercest home field advantages in not just the Pac-12, but in college football, right? I think we can honestly say that. All right, so with that being said, trivia time's over. Mike, what are your first thoughts about this matchup with the Beavs?
Just looking at actually a lot of stuff. I do this weekly article for Bruin Report Online, the facts and factors going into the game, and I just do a lot of research, about the teams on the field, off the field, just different stuff. First off, here's some trivia for you. Oregon and UCLA played a game.
Oregon State
and UCLA played a game outside of the United States.
Oh, wow.
During the 80s. Where did they play, and what was it called?
I have no idea, Mike. Tell me.
In 1980, they played in Tokyo in what was called
the
the Mirage
Beavers
Bowl.
Are a little sloppy.
Oh, wait, which bowl was it called?
The Mirage Bowl, which it wasn't a bowl. They just called it a bowl because it was just in a different location, but it was a regular season game.
That's awesome.
And that was pretty trippy. But other stuff that I started to look at, there's just UCLA and Oregon State are very similar. Starting from both Jonathan Smith and Chip Kelly being hired to their current positions in both November of 2017. And
you're going to talk about how similar they are,
yeah,
but much different impressions from the fan bases overall.
I was going to get to that as well. And both of them, both coaches took over for a coach who basically quit 6 games into the previous season. Yeah, see what I did there.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, the first 3 for Chip Kelly and Smith, losing seasons. Since then, been having more and more success ever since, and to where both of them now are ranked 15 for Oregon State and 18 for UCLA. Then you look at the statistics, and offensively, they actually have very, very similar stats. Defensively, almost similar. UCLA has some better statistics across the board, but for the most part, like UCLA only allows 12.2 points per game. Oregon State, not that far off, 19.7. Oregon State's rush defense, 96.2 yards allowed. UCLA, 64.6. That's a bigger difference. But even still, only allowing 96 rushing yards per game, that's really that's not bad.
Certainly not bad.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just a lot of this is like a mirror image of each other. I can imagine the betting lines would be flipped equally if this game was at the Rose Bowl, just because of how similar they are.
I think that's very true.
But yeah, you touched upon how Oregon State fans have been very, very patient, and they're very, very excited about their team, where only half of the UCLA fan base is excited about this team and where they're at and the fact that they're actually winning right now. Is very bizarre, especially since when you consider that. Yeah, UCLA traditionally is a top 25 team and not Oregon State. But in the last 20 years, what has either done?
They both had some high moments and some low moments.
Yeah, but nothing super great. Nothing, no Rose Bowls. But it's wait, did Oregon State go to a Rose Bowl? I don't know about that. But even still, it's not enough to warrant either team being, hey, we are one of the best Pac-12 teams over the last 20 years. No, that's either USC or Oregon or Stanford, Washington. But for the most part, they're just been good teams, good enough teams. But we're seeing, the best from Chip Kelly and Jonathan Smith right now, and this is going to be a really interesting game going into it because I think they're pretty similar teams. Both are very strong with the rush game, and
Oregon State, the Beavs' only lone Rose Bowl was in 1960. I'm sorry, their last Rose Bowl was 1965. And then
okay, so yeah, same thing. So
1941, Those are the Rose Bowls.
But they're very similar teams on paper, and on and off the
Which
field.
is really a scathing indictment of the Bruins, right? Because the Bruins shouldn't be the same as Oregon State, and yet they have. Like, we go down the roll call of bowl games for the Beavs. They made a Fiesta Bowl in 2001, which is right after the Bruins, made their last Rose Bowl in '99 or whatever. And then you go Insight Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl, Insight Bowl, Sun Bowl, Emerald Bowl, Sun Bowl, Vegas Bowl, Alamo Bowl, Hawaii Bowl, LA Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl. Honestly, if I read that list of bowls, you'd be hard pressed as a Bruin fan to not say, "Oh yeah, that's where the Bruins went." So that's a really good point, Mike.
Yeah.
Why are the Bruins at this level? God knows. Hopefully, they're on to bigger, better things.
Yeah.
Going into the Big Ten, but the jury's out on that. Mike, you talk about how similar the stats were.
Mm-hmm.
Right before I got thrown into Twitter jail, which I'll talk about later.
Again?
Yeah, on the What's Bruin account, no less this time. Gee whiz, I was so mad.
What?
Yes, I got us thrown into Twitter jail. That's my What's Bruin. We'll save it for later. Anyways, I did tweet out something that caught your eye, and that was that when you look at Dante Moore versus DJU, right?
Yeah.
They literally have the same seasons going right now,
Yeah.
although in different sort of peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy when you think about statistically how similar they are. I was looking at this when I was compiling the stats, and I was like, oh my gosh. So DJU, Dante Moore, right? DJU is 6th in attempts, 6th in completions. Dante Moore is 7th in attempts, 8th in completions. DJU is 7th in percentage. These are all their ranks in the Pac-12, by the way. 7th in percentage. Dante Moore is 9th. Yards. DJU is 6th. Dante Moore is 7th. Yards per attempt. DJU is 4th. Dante Moore is 5th. Touchdowns. DJU is 6th. Dante Moore is 7th. Interceptions. They're both 14th. Rating. 7th for DJU. 8th for Dante Moore. Attempts per game. 7th for DJU, 6th for Dante Moore. And yards per game, 7th for DJU, 6th for Dante Moore. So it just is funny. Like, it's just a stat anomaly. Like, I don't think it really says anything about him, except for the fact that right now these guys are having very similar seasons overall.
Yeah.
But the one thing you can say for DJU is that he's coming off of his probably best performance of the year, and that was his game he had against Cal, where he threw something like 5 touchdown passes, I want to say. What else did he have in that game? DJU was 19 for 25, 275 yards, an 11-point average, and 5 touchdowns, for goodness sakes. Dante Moore, since he's gotten a conference play we already talked about, he was lighting up beforehand, and conference play he's kind of struggled a little bit. But for a guy like, nobody knows what it's like to be a much maligned young player in college football than DJ Uiagalelei when his time at Clemson, right? He was certainly, dealing with a lot of adversity over there. And now he comes to Oregon State, and he's kind of been able to kind of be much more under the radar and just kind of be within himself. Dante Moore is now going through it as the focus of the Bruin offense, and he started so hot and now has kind of tapered off a little bit, but still developing. But it is kind of interesting how they're, DJU a little bit further ahead in the timeline, but very similar story so far, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a big game for the Bruins, Mike, obviously, right? And I was trying to think of, some sort of tagline we could give when talking about the key moments of this game, or the key aspects of taking on the Beavers up there in Corvallis. And, of course,
Nice Beaver.
they're very nice Beavers. But there are some things about this team that just make me say, damn. And so with that being said...
Is that a good damn or is that a bad damn?
Well, Mike, it's a play on words. It's a little bit of a pun because the next segment is called
Damn.
Beaver Damns.
It.
Right? How have we done this goddamn show
played.
for 10
Well
years
played.
and I never came up with Beaver Damns? You know why? It's because the goddamn Pac-12 and stupid Kalashnikov and stupid Larry Scott only had to play this team like 4 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit because this is genius.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, we're on to the Beaver Damns. Okay? So, first Beaver Dam.
Oh, by the way, any Oregon State podcast that comes up with this after us, you're going to owe us like
I definitely need a residual.
$10 every time you use it.
Just
you can use it, but
just like when the UCLA English department or the UCLA, whatever, they're doing their daily Bruin sort of announcements, and they're like, "Hey, what's Bruin, everybody?" And give us no love.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
F you guys.
Thanks.
We're going home. Anyways,
we were here first.
Beaver Damns, Mike. Beaver Damns.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, those running backs are good.
Yeah.
Running backs for the Beavers, they have 3 of the top 30 rushers in the Pac-12. Oregon State is number 13 in the nation in running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You got their number one guy with the bullet, Damian Martinez, 6.5 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, and that's on 15 carries per game. Now, some people say that
only 15. Carson Steele does 30.
I'm a bomb throwing anarchist now.
Some people, like the anarchists, would say that why would they ever give it to anybody else? But they have another guy that's produced pretty big too. Deshaun Fenwick, 5.7 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns, big plays in whatever game I was watching last. I feel it was against the
Cal? Washington State? Utah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it was against Utah.
That was a week ago, yeah.
Anyways, it was before the Cal game. But anyways, he's having like 10 carries a game. He's got 4 touchdowns, 5.7 yards. And so, I mean, like, he's like tearing it up. And then DJU also is at 4 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns so far on the ground. So he's kind of like the finisher.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's a pretty even distribution when you talk about running the ball, 3-headed monster kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ can throw the ball as well. But, I mean, the Bruins went up against their stiffest test through the air last week in Washington State. And until they get to the Trojans, I don't think they're going to go up against a team that can throw the ball as well as Washington State can. You think top to bottom?
Yeah.
Certainly Colorado can throw the ball. Certainly Arizona probably can throw the ball a little bit. But Washington State and USC are probably the top of the pops as far as that goes in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Running the ball, I don't think we're going to see anybody any better than what the Beavers offer, right? Because when they played Utah was a wounded animal.
Yeah.
They their best running back, what's his name? I can't think of his name. But anyways, he got hurt halfway through the game, and then they were playing without a quarterback pretty much.
Yeah.
So this is
And
the
a tight
stiffest
end.
test. Yeah, oh yeah. They're playing without half their team.
Okay.
This is the biggest test for the Bruin defense against a running team.
Yeah, proper rushing team.
And if they don't bring their A game in Corvallis on the road, this could be trouble for the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the first damn. Is damn, those running backs are good.
Uh-huh.
The second damn, it is hard to play in Corvallis. Now, I know the Bruins have won their last 2 games, but those Beaver teams were not nice Beaver teams.
No.
Nice Beaver.
Those were sloppy Beaver teams.
And if the Beavers are a little sloppy,
Mike, tell me what the Beavs' record is at Reeser in the last, whatever number of years. What's their current streak at?
In the last 14 games, they've won 13 of those.
Yeah, this is a fierce road environment. And this is kind of on par with what we were dealing with going to Rice-Eccles, right? They only lost 1 game there in like 5 years, and it was a stupid COVID game.
Yeah.
So when there was no fans there. So this is a tough road environment. Just in the last 2 years, now the first game is a loss, but was anybody expecting them to contend with SC last year, number 7 in the country, in early September? They ended up losing that game 17-14 in a game they absolutely should have won. They were winning that game until right at the end. But that was a terrible road environment for Caleb Williams to take his team into last year, and the Trojans barely escaped with a victory. Now, Mike, would you be okay with barely escaping with a victory in Corvallis this week? Yeah, me too. I absolutely would. Barely escaping is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I'd love to kick their ass, but I'd be just fine with barely escaping. But beyond that, who could forget last year's Civil War? Number 9 Ducks go in there, and they're up big time on the Beavs, and then the Beavs end up running the ball like 500 straight times in the second half and just completely deboning and demoralizing those wimpy Ducks.
Yeah.
The Ducks? They're wimpy. They don't even have teeth.
They certainly didn't have any teeth against freaking Oregon State last year.
Nope.
And then this year so far, like I said, Utah goes in there, certainly also a little toothless.
What is a Ute?
Without Cam Rising, without all their players, and play them the week after UCLA gets beat by Utah. But they get the Utes, beat them 21-7, number 10 at Corvallis. And that's just 2 ranked teams in the last like 8 games for the Beavs.
Yeah.
So they are very formidable at home. It's a great home field advantage, and it will take a supreme Bruin effort to beat these Beavs. Now, with that being said, that's the second damn. It's damn, these Beavs are good at home. Mike, the third damn, the last damn, is damn, these Beavers run a lot of trick plays. I was reviewing the games from this year, and Jonathan Smith is definitely giving me a little bit of a Bob Toledo vibe with the creativity that he shows and the trick plays these guys roll out. Now, just speaking of the Utah game, the coup de grace, the final blow of that game, when they put it away against the Utes, go up 21-0, I want to say, or 21-7. They line up to do on a 4th and short, kind of at midfield. They line up to do a tush push, which is, they all line up together and they're in a little bunch formation.
Yeah.
But they have one of their fastest little jitterbug receivers out there, Bolden, lined up deep in the backfield, right? So they're all up at the line except for Bolden in the back. And then they run like a sweep, they run a sweep basically to the right, and it goes 50 yards for a touchdown. It's not kind of a quote-unquote super trick play, but it certainly goes against what they thought they were going to run, right?
Yeah.
4th and 1. So that was a wrinkle they had against Utah, and it put the Utes away. They also, this year, against San Diego State, and I don't know why, I'm just finding out about this now. I don't know why this isn't like on ESPN, like still like they should play this 7 times a week because it was such a great play.
Yeah.
But they ran the single greatest football play of all time. Jonathan Smith.
Go on.
Yeah, exactly. It was a tackle lateral for a touchdown against San Diego State. And I'm going to post the play on the What's Bruin Twitter now that I'm out of Twitter jail. And it is literally, it's like my favorite play I've ever seen. Basically what happens in this play is they line up just in the normal formation. They're in the red zone. They're like on the 15-yard line or something. And the ball is hiked, and the left tackle acts like he's going to pass block, sets up basically like in a screen where he like kind of lets the defender go, and then he kind of just drops back. He floats out to the far left of the screen as DJU floats to the right part of the screen. DJU laterals, like throws a sideways pass to him. It's technically a lateral, but it goes through the air like 30 yards.
Yeah.
The lineman catches the ball where no one is guarding him because nobody cares what the left tackle is doing on a particular play.
Yeah.
Then he runs in the end zone. He could have walked in the end zone with the right guard, also his buddy, the left guard, leading the way for him. I'm describing it right now. What it looks like is a screen to your left tackle, but what it technically is just a lateral to your left tackle. And Mike, your question is, how is it legal?
Yeah.
It's legal because it's a backwards pass. It's a handoff.
That's it.
It's basically just a handoff, and you can hand the ball off to whoever you want. It's like in the '84 Super Bowl when they lined up the fridge in the backfield and handed off to him, or like when we would do it with our big fellas with that diamond formation or whatever, and we give the ball to one of the big fellas like Cassius Marsh or something. It's basically that. It's just this handoff.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Because it
happened to travel 30 yards through the air.
Yeah, because it's not a pass, so he's not an ineligible receiver.
It's not ineligible. He doesn't have to report. He doesn't have to say, "Hey, I'm eligible."
But as long as he's like an inch behind where,
as long as it goes backwards.
Gotcha.
And it's the most genius play I've ever seen in my life.
You got to post this. I got to see this.
I'm going to post it, and it's amazing. So, damn, these Beavs run a lot of trick plays, and so the Bruins better be prepared. All right, Mike, let's move on. You got a question off of Twitter, I believe, at What's Bruin Show. On Twitter.
Yes, from Nancy at UCLA's in
Hi, Nancy.
It's Twitter. It'll always be Twitter. Just like it's not the crypt. It's not the crypto.com. It's Staples.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's not what Kia Forum.
I didn't
get
Great
Western Forum.
I didn't get thrown into X jail. I got thrown into Twitter jail. All right. Anyways, Mike, what's the comment?
It's different. It's a different environment.
Yeah, it is.
Nancy asks, okay, what are your keys to UCLA pulling off an upset this Saturday? Well, as I said, I'm
glad you asked, Nancy.
I think this both teams are very similar, except for the fact that UCLA's defense is a little bit better than Oregon State's. I think if I think
they're a lot better, Mike, honestly, but they're playing on the road, so I think
that's yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's the wrench in the system, if you will. I mean, maybe not that bad. It's not something that's going to totally take down UCLA. How can I say? It's more like a stick getting caught in your bike wrong, or it's like it'll just throw you off a little bit.
I don't think the Beavers' defense is that much better than Washington State's defense. And when you watch the games,
and that's
you watch the two victories they had over Utah and over who's the other game that they won at Corvallis? Gee whiz, why can't I think of it?
I'm blanking on it right now, but get to that. But my point being is that Washington State was a good passing team, and they shut that down. With UCLA being notorious in the last half decade of having a very bad secondary, and they shored that up. Their strength has been, even this year, has been the run defense. Yeah. So the fact that this is something, and even one of the linebackers said it the other day. I think it was Oladejo. This is a game that they are looking forward to, because not only are they a good rush defense, but they're looking forward to smashing, head to head with a very potent
that Beaver line and all those Beaver backs.
Yes. So that I think is just going to feed into UCLA's production at defense. Secondly, I think
stay with the defense for a minute.
Yeah,
I really do think that I think Oregon State's defense is pretty good, but I don't think they're on the level of Utah by any means. No. I think Utah and UCLA are the best defenses in the Pac-12, and they've shown it so far.
Yes, hands down.
And UCLA's shown how good the defense can play in a tough environment, right?
Yes.
They played that way at Utah. The whole reason that UCLA lost the Utah game was because of the offense, not because of the defense.
Exactly.
Right? Although Utah's offense is certainly much weaker than what we expect Oregon State's offense to be.
Yes, exactly.
That's fair, too. But in the Beavs games at Corvallis, they hosted the last two they've hosted were against San Diego State and against Utah. 2 wins. Mm-hmm. 2 dominating wins. Mm-hmm. They beat San Diego State 26-9. They beat Utah 21-7. But in both of those games, San Diego State and Utah, by the way, both opponents that UCLA has also faced, they moved the ball much better on this Beaver defense at home. The Beaver defense at home than they moved the ball on UCLA. With UCLA on the road, right? Yes. I guess what I'm saying, there's a better way to say that. San Diego State was at home against UCLA. UCLA completely shut them down. Utah was at home against UCLA. UCLA completely shut them down. San Diego State's on the road at Corvallis, and they actually kind of moved the ball on the Beavs.
Yeah.
Utah's on the road at Corvallis, and they actually did move the ball a little bit on the Beavs. It's just they short-circuited, kind of like the Bruins did, playing the Utes. So what I'm saying is that this Beaver defense does give up some plays. They are very good at forcing fumbles. Mm-hmm. They're like top 10 in the country in forcing fumbles. But I think if the Bruins can, basically the Beaver defense, they're not bad, but they're not spectacular. They're 30 to 50.
They're in the top third
in the Pac-12, and they're like 30 to 50 in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like we were hoping before the season started that UCLA
it's better than UCLA's defense last few years.
Certainly.
Yes.
They're probably better than Washington State, but they're not as good as Utah. So if the Bruins can, and this goes to my first key of the game, which goes right along with your key to the game, Mike, if the Bruins can avoid the early errors, so basically can Dante Moore not throw a touchdown to the other team on the first play?
Please.
Could Dante Moore maybe not throw an interception on the third play of the game? And by the way, that first interception on Dante was not his fault. That was clearly on the line. He got hit on that play, and it turned into a duck.
Yeah.
But still, try not to throw an interception early in the game. Yeah. Try not to turn the ball over early in the game, and you will have a chance to put some points up on this Beaver defense.
And if someone's coming for you for the potential sack, don't continue to run backwards. Just go down. Go straight down.
Mike, you bring that up, and we're getting a little off topic for our keys of the game. We'll get back.
Sorry. But that was just a sidebar.
But you bring it up, and it's like, Mike, we didn't talk about that, but very clearly, yes. I think one of the plays or one of the ways in which Dante Moore could directly improve would be just to not stay in the, not holding the ball quite so long.
Yeah.
Not look downfield every single play. Right?
He's a true freshman. The kid was playing in Detroit in high school last year. So,
Mike, I want more Dante
But he'll
Moore.
learn. Like Brett Hundley learned to slide on his butt rather than dive with his head. As DTR learned to hold on to the ball and not fumble it away. It'll progress. It'll get better.
That's what I'm saying, though. But yeah, so he could learn to maybe not hold the ball quite so long, and also maybe throw it away a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. And he'll be like that will improve him so much more.
Yeah,
we're saying a lot more. But anyways, so yeah, avoid the early errors, and this Oregon State defense is good, but it's not as fierce as Utah. Okay, Mike, what's your next key of the game?
Offensive line just continue to get better. If you have a few hiccups, at least try to push them away from Dante. Do whatever you can to protect Dante Moore. If you have guys, and that's a combination. Just lead. Actually, what you just said is part of this key to the game. Dante, he's getting better. Just notice where you're at, field position wise. Just go down when you need to, and the offensive line, just hold that line. They're not. You faced the toughest defensive line you have in Utah. Did better against Washington State. You can do the same thing against Oregon State.
No, I think that's very, very fair. And like I said, I think the offensive line hasn't been nearly as bad as what they've been advertised to be. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's not. Oh, just because he's getting pressured, it's all on the offensive line. But it's not all on Moore either. They have to learn to play better together. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to the first couple years of DTR. I thought DTR brought half the sacks that he suffered on himself just by what he was doing. But half of those were because the offensive line wasn't blocking well enough, right?
Yeah.
The offensive line's doing just fine blocking on the run for the most part. They need to get a little better in protection. The backs need to get a little bit better in protection. Chip Kelly needs to get better at calling the plays he's calling in these crucial moments. And I think he's progressed towards that too. And I think he'd tell you the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They all need to get a little better as an offense because there are the makings of a very good offense here. There are. You know, there are makings for this offense to be even more explosive through the air than it has been under the DTR regime.
Yeah.
But maybe not quite as explosive on the ground because they just don't have the well, I don't know, maybe they do have the juice when we talk about Mr. Jones. But it's about like the order in which they deploy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that they all can the offense needs to improve together. It's not about the line getting better or more getting better or the receivers getting more open or the backs running harder. They all need to get better together, right?
Yes.
It's a group effort. And hopefully we will see that. That certainly is a big key to this game. Mikey, my next key to the game is the gosh darn special teams.
Yeah.
Which, up until last game, had played perfectly fine. And then they have the meltdown of all meltdowns. They get a kick blocked. They miss a field goal. They miss an extra point. They cause the offense to have to go for 2 when they don't need to. They cost the Bruins last week a minimum of 8 points, right? Missed extra point, 2 missed field goals, and having to go for 2 that you don't pick it up. That's 8 points off the board.
Yeah.
25-17 could have very easily been 33-17. Or you split the difference 29-17, right? Like that's it right there. They just need to not completely melt down like they did at the Rose Bowl this last Saturday.
Yeah.
So no effing special teams disasters. That's my next key to the game.
That's good. Yeah.
Mike, do you have any more keys?
No, I think I'm good.
I got one more.
I think we're good. Go.
Okay. You don't want to think of one more, so I have one more? That's fine, Mike. I guess.
All right, you'll go. It's back in for you.
You don't have to think of another key, Mike. I'm just kidding. The defense, Mike. We're very confident in this defense. We're very confident that they can go up to Corvallis and have a good effort. Right? It's going to be very important for them to do exactly what the game plan with Moore really has been, and that is to put a shit ton of pressure on DJU. And if they can put a shit ton of pressure on DJU without having to, like they did in the last few games, without having to send more than 4 guys most of the time at the line, or even better, you're getting pressure with 3 like they did, that would be fantastic. Do I think that's going to happen this game? No, because guess what? Oregon State's going to run the ball a heck of a lot more than they are going to pass, right?
Yeah.
So they need to be able to bottle up the run, limit Martinez, limit Fenwick, limit DJU on the ground, and then hopefully force them into situations where they have to pass, and then that Bruin front 7 can tee off on DJU. But the important thing is limiting the running game of the Beavs so that you force them into passing downs and then make DJ have to make plays through the air.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge, huge, huge key to the game, right? But if you can limit him, they have a lot of guys that can make big plays. These little guys running around on the edges and stuff. Like I said, I already think I mentioned Bolden, this last game, DJ had his best game through the air, and he's throwing touchdowns all over the place. Their freaking tight end, I think, scored like 3 touchdowns. Who was that? Jack Veiling had 3 touchdowns, for goodness sakes. But I mean, mainly their playmakers are Gold and Bolden, and then on the edges, and Martinez and Fenwick on the ground, and then DJU basically with his legs, and then being able to tee shots. Really, Mike, what I'm looking for is the defense to play the way they've been playing and not allow what happened to them when they went up to Eugene feeling strong and confident in themselves. And they went up there, and what happened? They got nixed. Right? They got nixed. They came off this incredibly dominant performance against Washington, right? Shut down Penix and all that stuff. And then they come in and just like Nix was on fire.
Yeah.
Absolute flamethrower of a game for them. They just couldn't keep up as good as the offense was. Don't go up there and get caught in that sort of maelstrom.
Yeah.
Now, do we think we have a little more confidence they can do that given the way the defense is played?
Especially because of how the defense is playing. I don't know. For me, there is just something about a team having a really good defense, as long as you don't have a crap offense, although that's been the UCLA way. You either have a good offense and a bad defense, or a good defense or a bad offense.
Much more often than bad defense, by the way.
This one has probably been the best result in the last 15 years, I would say. Aside from maybe 2-3 years in the Mora era.
No, this is better than those defenses. This is better than their 2006 defense so far.
Yeah. I just think that this defense is confident. They're not cocky, just from what I can see, but they're confident. They know what they're there to do, and that I think just fuels this energy that the UCLA football team has. Because UCLA's offense could score at will last 2 seasons, but when you don't have anybody stopping the other team, you're in a shootout. This time, you just stonewall your opponents, and at this point, hopefully, your true freshman is leading his offense to more points than the other team.
Good job, Mike. Good job.
But I'm just saying, it's just something about the energy with the defense this year. I think is just it's infectious, it's fun, and it's really going to help UCLA propel to the next level.
If they can play this game at Corvallis, this is the next big test, and it is a big test. And it's going to be tough to take on a much different offense than they played in Washington State. Mm-hmm. But so far they've been up to the challenge. Let's hope they still are. The last key to the game, Mike, I'll give you a key. I already mentioned it. Watch out for the goddamn trick plays, because there's going to be a trick play in this game.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? It's probably not going to be Chip doing it. It's probably going to be that darn Jonathan Smith. Watch out for the trick plays, right? And if they do land a trick play on you, and by the way, it's probably going to happen, somewhere on the Bruin side of the field with Oregon kind of going in. That's probably where they're going to run it. Mm-hmm. But if they make it with this trick play, don't let that get you down. Don't let that be such a big momentum swing in the game. But watch out for the trick play. This is probably coming. All right, Mike, predictions.
Well, since Jamaal is remote, he sent us his prediction. He has UCLA winning 30-17. And mine is similar. This defense just continues to surprise me, and I just think it is way better than what any of us thought. I honestly thought it was going to be better before the beginning of the season. A lot of people are like, oh, especially after the non-conference, they haven't played anybody. Well, they've played 2 conference teams, and they've shut them both down. And I think that's going to be a huge factor, especially with this Oregon State offense. I'm going UCLA with the win, 33-21. How about you,
Mike? I like that. I like that score too.
Thank you.
No, what a shocker! I'm predicting a Bruin victory.
What?
And I am. But my Bruin victory will be more in the neighborhood of. I think the Bruins win this game, 24-16. 24-16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another weird
hold the Beavs
score.
to a lot of field goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's where I'm at with that.
I like it.
Hopefully the defense pulls through.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
Well, thank you for joining the What's Bruin Symposium on the What's Bruin Show Network. We appreciate your support by joining Patreon, patreon.com/What's Bruin Show, or just what'sbruinshow.com. For how much, Mike?
$2.
Just $2 a month. You can send the What's Bruin Show into the future. You can also join on Substack and subscribe. what'sbruin.substack.com. I think it's a little more than $2 there. It's like, $80 a year or something. I don't know what it is. But for both things, you get the same thing, and that is you get access to our Slack channel, which gets very lively on game days. You also get some extra pods that I will do during the week. During the fall, it's generally the Mallcast, where I just kind of give an extra thought on what's going on with the football season. In the football off season, sometimes you might get a What's Brewing After Dark, where me and Mike, or maybe Bill and Jamaal, are talking about all sorts of weirdness and whatever, stuff that has nothing to do with UCLA. But mainly, when you're subscribing on Patreon, you are supporting the What's Bruin Show, an independent podcast in a sea of podcasters nowadays. We've been doing it for a while, but now there's a ton out there, and you're just saying, you want us to keep doing what we're doing. Also, right here, I'll tell you, the more you can subscribe to us on YouTube, just go to YouTube, search What's Bruin Show, subscribe to that channel and like that, or subscribe on any whatever podcasting thing you have, like it and review it. That always helps us out, and we appreciate your support. Now, on the Symposium, Mike, which is a conversation over drinks, I'm having a bottle that I just got. Sarah actually bought for me when she went on a trip out to the old 909. I actually have had some of this whiskey before. It's from a place called J. Riley in Redlands. And I had some of their first batches, and it tasted rather like a first batch. It was very, very raw, very young, as they say, kind of fire watery, kind of very, very tough to get down. This is a few years ago. But now they have released their 1775 whiskey, and it's corn, rye, malted barley, distilled in a bourbon mash, and it's 40% alcohol, 80 proof. And it's been aged 3 years. And let me tell you, this 1775 Riley whiskey was pretty darn good. I like it for a local product. You can't get much worse, or can't get much better than this. Like it's really good whiskey. So if you're out in Redlands, go out to J. Riley and get yourself. I think it's a place you can eat too. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not positive about that. But anyways, good time. There's a lot of nice places out in Redlands to eat nowadays. Very hipstery. Mike, you'd love it out there.
Nice.
Go to Redlands. Yeah. But Mikey, what are you drinking?
I'm doubling down from last week because I left this one from the beers that you guys got me last
That's right,
week.
birthday beers.
Doing the Pumpkin Haze IPA once again. I left that here and took all the other pumpkin fall spice ones you guys got me last week, and those are
how
gone,
How many were fall spice? I thought I only bought you the one fall spice. Was there more than one? If so, I apologize.
There were 3. Oh, don't apologize. They're all good. They're all good.
They're all fall spice.
This is the most pumpkin-y, spicy type of beer, but they all had a kind of like pumpkinish fall flavor. So
okay, well,
I quite enjoyed them.
Okay, I'm good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, so that's what I got.
All right, well, good. Well, once again, like I said, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe at patreon.com for how much, Mike?
$2.
Or on the Substack for whatsbrewin.substack.com, and we appreciate your support.
Didn't you say in your resume that you did 4 years at UCLA?
Yes. Technically, if you consider Bel Air an extension of the campus, which everybody does.
All right, so we got some listener feedback now. We already talked about Nancy asking for our keys to the game, but you can also call us on the hotline, 805-399-4WS.
Sucker right in Troy.
Sucker right in Troy. You can email us at whatsbruinshow@gmail.com. You can tweet us at whatsbruinshow. And, of course, you can please sign up on YouTube, right? Search What's Bruin Show, subscribe to that, or join us on Substack or on Patreon, patreon.com/whatsbruinshow or whatsbruinshow.com. whatsbruin.substack.com. Thank you, all those things. And you can interact with us via the phone or the text message or whatever. Thanks. So here's the first call. We had a bunch of calls from the post-game show, and now we got a bunch of calls for this show, so let's get them done.
Hi, What's Bruin Show. This is Carrie Bruin up here in Northern California. Really loved your shows this past couple weeks. And Mike's breakdown a few days ago of the Washington State game. I have a question for you. I was hoping to see some improvement from Dante Moore. I'm just looking at the stat sheet, right? And with Utah, he was 15 for 35 and 234 yards. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 2 fumbles. And one of them lost. I had negative 51 yards rushing. We played Wazoo, and Dante was 22 for 44, 290 yards. A little increase in yards there. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Negative 25 yards rushing. And, Washington State, their defense not being probably as good as Utah's. I'm not sure, at least on the stat sheet, if there was an improvement. The run game obviously showed up, and great play calling by putting in Keegan for those 2 touchdowns. I'm a little concerned about that, and I was wondering what your thoughts were. I was hoping Chip could be a little bit more nimble, more flexible, and come up with some calls that Dante, that really focus on Dante's strengths. I don't know. I'm wondering. So that's my question for you. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Thanks so much for everything. You're the best UCLA podcast. I really enjoy listening to you, and hope you're having a good week.
We love you too, Carrie.
Thank you very much. call in again whenever you can. We love all the calls, but we kind of address this. I mean, you do have to take into consideration that he is a true freshman. Kid was in Detroit playing in the snow a year ago, but it says something that he has surpassed two seasoned college quarterbacks to take the reins. And in talking to Chris Osgood over the weekend, he, at that game, he said, this is a completely different offense that Chip is running compared to what he had with DTR and Charbonnet, which makes a whole lot of sense because you're not just going to force someone to do something that they are not comfortable or cannot do. Chip is trying to do, and he reinvents himself all the time, every year, every season, every week. And so you can expect Chip Kelly to do what's best for the team based on what the team is showing him. So he's creating plays based on what Dante can do. So I think just as Dante gets more and more comfortable every game, he's just going to get better.
And what I would say is these are some stats from another young Bruin quarterback's first game. He comes out, he's 28 for 35, 80%, 350 yards, 10 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns against the Virginia Cavaliers. That was Chosen Rosen's first game as a Bruin. Unbelievable debut. Everybody's like, oh my God, this is the best freshman in the history of all freshmen. And then he comes out at UNLV and hosting Brigham Young at the Rose Bowl. And in the next 2 games, he averages not 10 yards per attempt, but like 5 yards an attempt. Not 350 yards, but like a couple hundred yards. Not 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, right? He went from a 192 rating in his first game, Josh Rosen, to about a 100-yard rating in his second 2 games. And that's against, group of 5 competition, right? Dante Moore came out in his first few games and was just lighting the freaking world on fire. Ended up with 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, basically over a 200-yard rating, and averaging well over 11 yards per attempt. Now, one of those teams was an FCS team. And 2 of those teams were Group of 5 teams. But you couldn't have asked for a better debut by a freshman, by Dante Moore. Do you want more? Since we had Chosen Rosen. And then he gets to stiffer competition against Utah, the best defense he's going to play all year, and against Washington State, not a terrific defense, but certainly not a bad defense either. And obviously the stats shrink down a little bit. But they're not even as dramatic as Rosen's were in those first few games. So this is a guy playing, like Mike said, he was playing in Michigan a couple just a few months ago, right? He's going to get better. And there's signs that he will get better. And I know, Kerry, you pointed out that Chip needed to be a little more nimble. I think he could have made it easier on Moore in his first couple games against conference competition by maybe limiting him a little bit more against Utah and maybe not trying to go for too much. But at the same time, they win the Utah game if freaking who dropped that pass? Was it Loya? Dropped the touchdown pass?
There were several. Norwood,
Josiah Norwood drops that touchdown pass. He caught one later, but he dropped the one. So, I mean, even with the amount he struggles, they really still should be, 5-0 right now. All things considered. Yeah. So, Kerry, to answer your question, I am optimistic that Moore will just continue to get better. And it's not unprecedented what he's doing, right? He's a guy that has a ton of talent. He's shown us what he can do when he's comfortable. Now he just has to get comfortable playing against Pac-12 competition. And, by the way, like I said earlier, this next test against Oregon State is the toughest defense he's going to face probably the rest of the year, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
It's all going to be behind him after Oregon State.
Yeah.
So if we can survive the Beavers, then hopefully it's off to the races.
Yeah.
All right, next call.
Hey, guys. Great win for the Bruins. Not that much fun to watch. Used to really enjoy it when we got the ball. Now I can feel my stomach sort of going to knots every time we have it, especially if it's on our side of the 50. Seems like we do better when we don't have the ball. So we kind of have a varsity offense and a varsity defense, JV offense for now. Great game, though. As you guys have noted, defense won it for us. Incredible. Never seen a better defense, and I've been watching this team a long time. Great plays all around on the defense. On the controversial calls, I'd say J-Mike's got to do a better job. He's supposed to be a shoe-in for an NFL starting job next year. He's got to make that catch and not even make it controversial. So could have been a bad call. I think he did catch it, but he's got to do a better job of clearing that and just making it a clear catch for a touchdown. The other one I didn't see because my version of Pac-12 Network crapped out right during that section of the game. I couldn't see anything. So I heard it on radio, but couldn't really visualize what happened. So we can't afford to give away points. We got to win like the old Larry Smith Arizona teams with Desert Swarm. They were winning games 12-9, 14-7, that kind of thing. We can't give away field goals. We can't give away touchdowns and so on. All right, so on the players themselves, the whole defense gets a game ball except for one player in particular, Kirkwood. Hate to keep droning on this guy, but the only offensive score they had was pitch to the short side of the field. Kirkwood had contained. Instead of keeping his lane and containing, he crashed down, and they just basically walked around him for the touchdown. So he still needs to do a lot better. On offense, I called him Dante last week because of the pick. I'm going to call him Picasso from now on, the heavy emphasis on pick. And the reason is you can see the parts like a Picasso painting. They're all kind of floating, but you get the image. It's just not all in one place yet. So he has shown some potential, especially this game, but still needs a lot of work. Overall, the offense looked a little bit better in the second half. So kudos to the offensive line for better pass pro. Next game, this is a really nice Beaver team up there in Oregon. I think we can beat them, but they're going to be more balanced. They're going to run better on us, maybe even pass better. But our defense will take a step back. Our offense probably stays about the same. I see it as a field goal game. Don't know who's going to win. Go Bruins. Oh, yeah, this is Diego.
Nice, Diego. Picasso is it's quite a good nickname. Let's hope that he earns his way out of it in the next couple of weeks, right? You talk about Devin Kirkwood, and unfortunately, yeah, he is the lowest rated defensive back for the Bruins on PFF, not only on the team but also for the Pac-12. He's not the lowest in the Pac-12, but he's the lowest Bruin in the Pac-12. So, yeah, hopefully he's getting better as he goes. As far as those controversial calls, I'm right there with you. I think, the main thing is that you didn't see one of them. Given that they confirmed that it was not a catch on one and then reversed the catch on the other one, and they were both very, very close plays, you'd figure we would have got one of them, and so that really was the most egregious thing on that. But, I think that we already said about Carey's call. I think the offense is developing, and I think it will develop more. And they're about to get over the hump as far as like the level of competition. So just survive this dang game. Whether you win it by 8 points like I'm predicting, or 3 points by you're predicting, or whatever Mike's spread was, just win this darn game, and you have a lot of room. You have a lot to play with at that point, and a lot of dreams and aspirations you can kind of hope for. So let's just make it through that. All right, Diego, call again. Let's get to the next caller. A lot of calls.
What's Bruin Show? What's up, guys? This is Kyle. I've called before. First, I wanted to say you guys were talking about the merch on your last podcast pretty strong. I ordered a sweatshirt. It's already been shipped, and it should be at the house in a couple days. I can't wait to rock it. I'll take a picture and send it to the email. Excited for my What's Bruin Show merch. Secondly, I think it's time now to start talking about this defense being absolutely legit. And it's scary to say that. I think we all, with battered Bruin syndrome, don't want to admit that. But I think from what we just saw at the Rose Bowl, when it was 101 degrees, was a legit defense against a legit offense. We all had questions going in. Is our offense great? Nope. But that's to be expected, right? We lost some really key guys that are now playing on Sundays. But this defense is legit. And I see some mock drafts putting Leatu Latu so high up there because of what he's doing and what he did last year. I mean, he is a player. He is a dog. The Murphys are playing disciplined football this year, which is so nice to see. Our backs, our linebackers are playing, and our DBs, I think we answered some questions there. But you know what? Our DBs don't even have to be that great if we're going to get to the quarterback like we've been doing the last couple games. I mean, this defense is legit. So, offense, we got some work to do, but I feel good going into Oregon State. I don't know about you guys, but I feel good. Go Bruins. We want more. And we want more of that defense. Here we go.
No, thanks for the call, Kyle. And yeah, like I said, I talked myself into feeling really good about going to Rice Eccles, so I'm a little more cautious in this one, going up to Reeser. But the more I think about it, the more I watch of Oregon State, the more I watch about the Bruins, I was like, oh, man, I just have a good feeling about it. So I'm really hoping that they come through. Mikey, how are you feeling about the Beavs?
Like I said before, this is very similar teams, except for the fact that UCLA's defense is, I would say, a little bit, and I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice.
The best unit out of all the units?
Exactly. UCLA's defense is legit. And you said that, I said they're a little bit better than Oregon State, and you said they are a lot better than Oregon State's defense.
I really believe that.
But still, I think
up to this point,
that is going to be the determining factor. And even though that it is in Corvallis on the road against a ranked team, UCLA has proved that they can hang, and I think this is going to be a very good UCLA win.
Let's go. And how do you feel about him buying merch?
Hells yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, Christmas is coming. Buy your whole family.
That's right.
Hey, guys. It's Gabe from Virginia. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Boy, what a win against Washington State. I got to tell you, that had to be the longest feeling halftime to sit through, going through all the thoughts of, we're going to win, we're going to lose, how's it going to end up. But the pick six didn't doom us, even though I thought it would. For a bit, glad to see that Dante Moore kind of kicked it into gear a little bit in the second half. Curious to get your thoughts on what we need to do against Oregon State. I haven't been terribly impressed with DJU. I mean, the guy's lost out his starting spot to Cade Klubnik, who's not exactly tearing it up at Clemson. He looks okay at some of the time, but I think our defense can give him some fits, and then he starts to miss a lot of his passes. Hoping for a good one. Got the Bruins pulling it out by a little bit, but eager to hear your thoughts. Have a great one. Thanks for all your work, guys. Take care.
Man, thank you very much, Gabe. You already heard our thoughts about this by the time you got to this point in the podcast, so you know what we think about the game. But I can't help but reiterate what you're saying about DJU. I kind of had the same thoughts about him. However, I'm thinking back to last year and our big win over Washington and going in against Oregon and Bo Nix and being like, oh, my gosh, Nix, he hasn't done shit, blah, 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 blah. So I'm a little bit, in the back of my mind, I'm a little bit worried about like some sort of like launching point game for DJU. But with that being said, I don't think it's as likely as it was for Nix and Oregon last year. So, yeah, I mean, I have pretty positive vibes going to this game. Let's hope that it doesn't end in sadness. But let's keep that Corvallis winning streak going. Let's end the Bruins conference partnership with the Beavs with a win up there.
Yeah.
How about it, Mikey?
Yeah. And you know what, too? In trying to defend UCLA the last few years, one of the last remaining things that Chip haters say is that, oh, well, they don't have any quality wins on the road. You get this? And I'm not trying to say you shut up the naysayers, but the naysayers are right. You have an actual quality win on the road, that is going to go a long way for Chip Kelly.
Yeah, well, and like I said, up until last game, they were 500 in the last 8 games. And before that, they had the hole that he dug for himself, and then they barely climbed out of it. So, I mean, every big win you get right now is a big sort of like feather in Kelly's cap and the support he's going to get from Bruin fans as a whole, right?
Yep.
Last couple of calls.
This is Doug from Santa Clarita calling from the beautiful UCLA campus. Just giving my predictions here for this upcoming Oregon State game. I gotta believe in my heart that this is going to be a victory because I already said we're going 11-1. Who cares? But
let's go, Des.
I will say this: I think this defense will be large and in charge and hold Oregon State into running DJ, however you pronounce that last name. I still can't do it after knowing all these years. And that Oregon State offense to 21 points. We will put up 35, and I believe we will have a defensive touchdown this game. Outside of that, have a good day, good night, good show, and go Bruins.
Jake, so he just said he was calling from UCLA, right?
Yes.
You have your Mallcast, right?
I do.
Was this a Bruin walk talk?
Oh, nice, Mike. A Bruin walk talk. I like that. Des has actually been calling quite a bit. He had 2 calls in the postgame, too.
Thank you so much for the call, and thank everybody for calling in. This is fantastic. We're like getting calls in from everywhere, and it's what the WBS hotline was meant for.
Absolutely. And last but not least, he texted me actually and saying, "Is it too late to call?" And I said, "No, no, Leo, it's not too late to call." So here's Leo. wrapping it up on the phone lines. Thank you very much once again. 805-399-4WS.
Leo, who, by the way, will do an 8-clap on request.
Oh, yeah.
He's for hire. Any party, any celebration.
I'm telling you.
Do it.
I'm telling you, by the way, when the Bruin players, like, there was only 35,000 of us at the Rose Bowl. It was a piss-poor crowd for a Bruins taking on a top 25 opponent. It was that part was embarrassing, right? But I guarantee you that at key moments of that game, the Bruin players heard 8 claps going on. And you know where the 8 claps were coming from? They were coming from Section 16, Leo leading them. And we were loud as the 47 people over there. No, it was more than that. But, like, the 8 claps that the Bruin players heard during that game were coming from us, led by Leo, right?
Really? Nice.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. And so, good job, Leo. What do you want to say? And get to his call right now as it's loading. Here it is.
Hey, guys. It's Leo from Long Beach. Special shout-out to Section 1617. You guys got loud on Saturday.
That's right.
And it kind of helped that everybody in the sun kind of found their way into the press box. I know you guys addressed it on Saturday. I'll be honest, Saturday after the game, I wasn't very hopeful about our Bruins going up to Corvallis. But after looking at some stats and listening to Jake, I'm excited that UCLA dominated time of possession, rushing the ball and draining the clock really was nice to see this past Saturday, and hope they can replicate it this coming Saturday. I know the students left at halftime, and maybe it's a conversation for another time, but these kids average a 4.5 GPA. So we'll take the being number one public university in the nation, but at the same time, the students that are coming into UCLA, sometimes their priorities are academic. I had a niece, she's starting a PhD program. She showed up to the tailgate, but she had to get back to do homework. So
no excuse, Leo.
For UCLA's academic standing, but at the same time, the students maybe have other priorities. And it was kind of sad to see the student section empty out at halftime. But like I said, maybe a conversation for another time. And I was freaking out earlier today. Thanks, Mike, for correcting me on Twitter. I really thought UCLA next year would have all 3 non-conference games on the road. But it seems like Fresno State's coming in, but to end the regular season. So that's all for me. I'm excited for Saturday, and it'll be close, I think, but I believe in my Bruins. Fours up. Bye, guys.
Let's go, Leo. Good job. No, everything you said is absolutely right on, but there's no excuse for the students. Students, you got to stay. Students, you got to show up and you got to stay. I know it sucks you got to bus to the game. That's a disadvantage. I was just thinking about how we are very similar to Miami in that regard.
Do you know how much alcohol was in the air in that section of the stadium?
It was a lot, but I don't
was
care.
a lot.
They need to stay. I mean, even with the Bruins trailing at halftime after that horrible half.
Yeah, some of them needed to hydrate. But, you know.
Anyways, no, but we're optimistic like you, Leo, except for one key member of the What's Bruin team. I'm predicting to win. Mike's predicting to win. Jamal's predicting to win. But stupid Bill, he has his prediction. The Darth Vader of What's Bruin. He predicts a score of what, Mike? You're doing that live. That's really good.
You know what? Hugo, my son, does it way better than me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Bill has chosen Oregon State to defeat UCLA 28-21.
Boo.
Oh, what a dick.
He is a dick. Bill's a dick. But hopefully after this game, he will be even further away in the What's Bruin prediction. Brought to you by Mike Crawford, who compiled it for us.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank
yes,
you, Mike.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I believe I have taken the lead because I nailed Washington State's State's score.
I was on the field the last 5 minutes, and I'm like, they're only going to score 17. God damn it, Jake won this week again.
The funny thing about it is that since Bill excluded, we generally just pick the Bruins to win. This really is a contest of who can get the scores closer, right?
Yeah, now it's vindictive. It's like I don't give a I
wonder who I'm gonna pick.
This is like our personal fantasy league, because it's like, who cares who wins? Did I win?
Yeah. But it's just who's getting the score closer, because generally, it's gonna be. Yeah. But right now I'm in the leader. I'm the leader in the clubhouse. So thank you very much, Crawford, for compiling that. All right, Mike.
Brilliant.
It's been a very long show. Yeah. Let's get to the end of the show, which is What's Brewing with You.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mikey, anything brewing with you?
Yeah, not much. You just my kiddos. They're obviously we're well into the school year, and they're getting into. This is like their first year dealing with like quarter system. So they're not only choosing new classes like every few months, but they're also experiencing the sports seasons. So my daughter Violet is in volleyball right now, and she's absolutely loving it. She kind of wants to continue it. And the next one that's coming up is basketball, which she showed some interest in it, but my younger daughter, Poppy, she's really interested in it. So I'm like, this past weekend I took them out and I was like, we're going to learn the basics. We're not shooting anywhere yet. We're just going to dribble. We're going to practice. We're going to pass. So that's pretty fun. And obviously that has fueled Violet into maybe wanting to try volleyball. But
Nice.
It's weird. My kid's school, right now the season is girls volleyball and boys flag football. Hugo has expressed an interest in football. Dear God. So I'm throwing, he's 9 years old. He's a smaller version of me. So his arms are a little weak. I mean, look at these, Jake. These are twigs. Okay. So you can imagine what an 9-year-old me has, but still his penchant to just learn a new sport. I'm all for it. So I'm like teaching him at least right now how to throw and catch a ball. And I've been teaching my kids how to catch a football for like 8-9 years. And my whole thing is when it comes to you, if you don't want to be hit in the face, fine. Turn a little so it doesn't smack you in the face.
Yeah.
But fingertips, bring it in.
Very good, Mike.
Fingertips, bring
You're
it
a very
in.
good technical teacher on that aspect.
I'm getting down to the nitty gritty, like especially with Violet with volleyball. No, I'm showing her exactly where to hit the ball, how to bounce it, how to have your hands positioned, where how you should kind of like squat or have your knees bounce. Oh, I am all about fundamentals.
Very good. I don't want to make you feel bad about yourself, Mike, but I'm pretty sure I'd give even odds on Malcolm, my 13-year-old. He can I'm pretty sure he can outbench you now.
Oh, for sure. I am not.
He's just.
That's a solid. I mean, he's your kid.
He's man-childed right now. So yeah, he's like.
Exactly.
He's deciding whether or not he's going to go try to play football next year for his local high school. We'll see. I'm not pushing him one way or the other, but he is lifting now.
Jake,
a maniac.
You're a family of offensive linemen, tight ends.
Yeah.
I'm a family of cornerbacks.
No, that's okay.
So
I'm just saying. Like Malcolm
we're
is
defensive backs over here.
He's like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Exactly.
Jake, but the thing is, like, he's not shaped like a lineman. He's shaped like a freaking Greek god right now. The guy's got a freaking 12-pack. He's 13. It's insane, Mike. I don't get it.
Whatever, bro.
I don't understand.
I have a 6-pack of juice boxes.
Yeah, me too. I got. Oh, jeez. Anyways, I'm sorry,
Mike.
Quick, what's
you got a cake, bro? Jake, what's brewing with you?
Well, I got thrown in Twitter jail again, Mike.
Yes. What was that about?
A couple weeks ago, I got thrown in Twitter jail on my own personal account, WBJake at WBJake68 on Twitter, because I had the gall to suggest, very metaphorically, that the stupid proposed debate between stupid Santos and stupid Gavin Newsom.
Okay, Jake, can you do that on your own personal?
That was on Mike. That was on my personal one.
Oh, that was the one. Okay, that's right. That's right.
And I was just like, look, I made a very metaphorical suggestion that the
It was
Earth
stupid. It was
should open up, like, completely. Come on, like, can we not have figurative language anymore?
Yeah.
But I got thrown into a jail for suggesting that a chasm should open up in the ground and swallow them both, and we'd all be better off.
I mean, come on. How many times have I said on Twitter, with two teams that I'm not very, for, when people ask me who do I want to win, I go, Mother Nature.
Yeah.
An earthquake.
I'm just saying, like, it's
what the hell?
It's so well. Wait till I get to. So then, last night on the What's Bruin show, Twitter, I was very frustrated by the Dodgers. Right.
Oh God, it was
very frustrated by the Dodgers. They're losing again. Now they're 0-2 in the series against the Diamondbacks. And what really chapped my hide was the worst sports writer in the history of sports writers that has a reputation of being a good sports writer is none other than one Bill Plaschke. Just an absolute terrible hack. The only reason he's revered in the city of LA is because he basically just survived all the retirement and the layoffs of all the other decent writers in the county. But Plaschke sucks. He's always sucked. He still sucks. And he got news. He was drawing for headlines last week, and he predicted the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. Yada yada. Basically, put the big kibosh, the jinx, on the Dodgers. And so I just posted a very, very, once again, figurative, but just a joke on Twitter of, gee whiz, could someone please strap Pulaski to a rocket ship and launch him into the sun? That's it. And I got thrown into Twitter jail for that.
Oh, dear God.
And all I would like to say to Twitter is, X, whatever. On my same What's Bruin Show channel, and and I'm sure Mike, you deal with this too. Like, there's literally like people saying the most tasteless, obnoxious things.
Nazis.
Constantly.
Nazis.
Of all sorts. Not just Nazis. All sorts of just vile things from all sorts of vile people. There's actively like porn on the freaking on Twitter.
Yeah.
But you can't make a very, you can't use language
Clearly,
anymore.
you don't actually
Clearly,
want
I
to
don't
rap.
mean it.
But
it's labeled as hate speech. F off X, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah.
They really bother me. So luckily, I'm out of Twitter jail, and I was able to post my trick play from Morgan State. But it's like, come on, dude. Come on. Let's figure out the algorithm a little better than that.
The head man is posting conspiracies about teachers wanting the Twin Towers to fall.
It's insane.
It's
that's okay. It's ridiculous. Sure. Anyways, Mike, this show
is awesome.
Is very long, so it may get split up into two. I don't know. I'll decide that in a minute. But if it doesn't, there's over 2 hours of What's Bruin Show for you. If not,
You're
it's
not
a couple
gonna be
episodes.
bored.
Listen to them both.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll come back with a post game after Oregon State at some point. There may be a bonus episode in there. We'll let you know. Subscribe on Patreon. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Substack. And until next time,
go Browns.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's got to be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, bro, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.